I was chatting to a neighbour a few weeks ago and she said, "Oh, have you seen a TV programme advertised which starts next Thursday on Channel 5? I think it's called The Secret Life of Trees, and I thought you'd be interested." And of course I tuned in for the first 3 episodes when it aired on the 25th of July. As my regular viewers will know, I love anything to do with trees. My love for being in the woods and photographing all its wonder has developed into a fascination which has spilled over into all aspects of my life. I grow trees, I buy things for the house which feature trees as part of the design. I read about trees and I'll enthuse about them to anyone willing to listen. So of course I very much enjoyed this new series on 5 narrated by Michael Palin, and also listening to their guests share their own knowledge and stories with passion and a glint in their eye. So imagine my delight when 5 got in touch and asked if I would make a video in which I share my own connection with trees and my reflections on the programme. It's a perfect fit, so let's go for a walk in this beautiful ancient woodland, talk about trees and some of the key takeaways from The Secret Life of Trees, which will hopefully inspire you and perhaps even change your view of trees as a photographer. As the programme states, there are 3 trillion trees that blanket our world. All are helping to clean the air we breathe by sequestering carbon and releasing oxygen into the atmosphere. They all begin life as a tiny seed, can grow to enormous proportions and live for almost 5,000 years. The programme is full of mind-blowing information, such as the fact that there are trees alive today that are as old as the Great Pyramids. Even in the UK, we have yew trees that are thought to reach 3,000 years old. These ancient, majestic keepers of time live in plain sight, so what is it about their life that is such a secret? I remember at school learning about photosynthesis, a process by which trees turn sunlight energy into chemical energy. The green substance in leaves, called chlorophyll, helps to trap energy from sunlight. The leaves absorb carbon dioxide from the air and the roots draw up water from the ground. The water and carbon dioxide is turned into glucose for energy, and then oxygen is released from the leaves as a byproduct of this process. Photosynthesis forms the foundation of every food chain and helps to regulate our climate. Simply put, without photosynthetic organisms like trees, humans would not exist. That's a pretty compelling reason to revere trees, but I think it takes a curious photographer to delve a little deeper, tune into the rhythms of a woodland and uncover this beautiful world of nature's finely balanced creativity. I'm often asked which is my favourite season as a woodland photographer, and I think the expected answer is often autumn. Nature's grand finale before the sleepy days and bare bones of winter. Sure, autumn is an incredibly rich time to be in the woods as the fruiting bodies of fungus emerge and the chlorophyll breaks down and reveals a kaleidoscope of heartwarming colour. However, I think spring has to be my favourite time of year to be amongst trees. It's probably not my most photographically productive season, but there's something incredibly uplifting about seeing the woods awaken from their slumber. The birds sing their hearts out, the understory flora emerges with vigour, and the sweet smell of blossom fills the air. A tree's blossom is a symbol of renewal and beauty, and I find it to be life-affirming and incredibly therapeutic. And I also find these seasonal showcases to be inspiring as a photographer. As Connor Butler explains in The Secret Life of Trees, as much as we love the visual display of flowers in the canopy, it is essential for the reproduction of trees. They offer colour, nectar and this irresistible smell to attract bees, butterflies and other pollinators. This interaction ensures that pollen is transferred from one tree to another, leading to the fertilisation required for seed production. This period of delicate flowering is really very short, so I find it very important to know which trees flower, when they flower, and of course have a good knowledge of your local woodland so you can make the most of this wondrous period of vitality. For example, the often scruffy and congested blackthorn will flower before hawthorn, and the easiest way to distinguish a blackthorn from hawthorn in spring is that blackthorn will begin to burst with elegant white before the soft green leaves emerge. They create blankets of calming white which are a feature in themselves or can be used as a contrasting foundation to the species that are having a bit of a lie-in after the winter of rest. Hawthorn, although often congested, can form huge crowns of hanging white. Birdcherry, lurking in damp valleys, can have crawling and sprawling branches that develop beautiful spires of tiny flowers. Our woodlands are constantly changing with the seasons, from small, easily missed details to rare phenomena, wildlife and grand, colourful displays of abundance. The draw of simply being immersed and present is enough to get me out of bed before dawn. But then the photograph, it just feels like a very fortunate moment to celebrate that experience. And often it's enough just to simply be here and bear witness. There are lots of fascinating details and discussions in Five's The Secret Life of Trees. And another which resonates with me is the well-being benefits of chemicals released in the woods. I've previously read about how trees have a defense system to help offer some protection from grazing animals and insects. They can sense the danger and release chemicals to the rest of the leaves, which makes them taste more bitter and less attractive to animals and insects. Amazingly, this release of chemicals also sends a signal to neighbouring trees, which allows it to produce the same protective chemical as if it too was being attacked. What I didn't realise is that we can smell these chemical signals and could well be benefiting from them too. There's some scientific research suggests that these chemicals can have a positive effect on our mood, lowering our stress levels and therefore benefiting our well-being. Have you ever had those mornings where creativity just seems to be in full flow? There's no doubt in my mind that this marriage of sight, sound, smell, awe and wonder just settles the mind and our senses are heightened by the experience. Colours become more vivid. The sound of birds in the canopy are amplified, and there's just something about the smells that are pure and calming. So maybe the key to creative flow is to seek out the places that first and foremost just make us feel good. When it comes to the secret life of trees, then I find the most inspiration and fascination when we begin to look beneath ground. Their roots and the microscopic fungal threads that connect trees and plants with one another to create this network of communication and sharing. We're approaching autumn now, and as the trees begin to slow down, the fungi begin to show their true colours. Mushrooms, the otherworldly fruiting bodies that symbolise the essential life cycle of decay in our woodlands. But these mushrooms are just the tip of the iceberg, because beneath the surface is the mycorrhizal network, millions upon millions of microscopic fungal threads that connect the woodland together. I spoke about the so-called wood wide web in a video about 3 years ago, but I really enjoyed hearing about it again from Kylie Jones-Mattock in Five's programme. Being someone that's inspired by Ents in Lord of the Rings and the idea of this enchanted world, it really excites me to think that on some level trees really are talking to one another. And it's this idea of trees communicating with each other beneath ground that helps me to visualize this conversation above ground, and that trees, don't have to be photographed as individuals fighting for the light, but as a community of trees that support one another, interact with each other, perhaps even appear to dance and argue. And it's this convergence of scientific study and art that really fascinates me, inspires me, and kind of instills this childlike sense of imagination. And also makes me feel as if I'm absorbed in somewhere that is far greater than I'll ever fully understand. And I love that sense of mystery. So perhaps some of the tree's secrets are actually best left untold. I'm stood here with an oak tree that's hundreds of years old. As the saying goes, an oak tree grows for 300 years, lives for 300 years, and dies for 300 more. This tree could be playing host to over 2,000 living species, insects in its heartwood, perhaps owls in its hollows. It will eventually decompose, being digested by various bugs and return to the soil, locking away carbon in the ground. As Cecilia Reed said in The Secret Life of Trees, it's the ultimate cycle of life and ultimate legacy. There's still much to learn about the secret life of trees. Personally, I hope that some of their precious lives remains a bit of a secret, but that more of us can learn to revere and protect these fascinating friends. I'd like to thank Five very much for sponsoring this video. If you are in the UK, then I highly recommend you watch The Secret Life of Trees via their on-demand service. I'm sure you'll also find it educational, fascinating, and perhaps it will transform your view of this uniquely special environment. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the special guests on their show, because it's always such a joy to listen to people speak so passionately about their love for nature. But thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again very soon.